Did you know that nearly 80% of the fairy tales we love today have been completely sanitized? That's right, the charming stories we grew up with often hide some truly horrifying origins that would make you rethink your favorite childhood memories. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the world of fairy tale transformations. You know those heartwarming stories we all adore? Well, they often mask some pretty dark and disturbing truths just beneath the surface. So, let's take a closer look at what these tales really mean and where they come from. Presentation of problem/challenge. Over the years, fairy tales have undergone some serious makeovers. Originally, they were often filled with gruesome details, moral lessons, and hard-hitting realities. But as time went on, these stories were sanitized for children, losing the rawness that made them so impactful. For example, in the original version of Cinderella, the stepsisters actually mutilate their feet to fit into that glass slipper. Can you believe that? Instead of a magical transformation and a happily ever after, you've got some serious cruelty. And that's just one example. Many fairy tales have been stripped of their original lessons and turned into lighthearted tales that gloss over the harsh realities of life. It makes you wonder what other dark truths are lurking behind the charming facades we've come to know and love. Exploration/development. Let's explore a few well-known fairy tales and their original, Grimm narratives. Take Snow White, for instance. In the Brothers Grimm version, the evil queen is punished by being forced to dance in red-hot iron shoes until she dies. That's a far cry from the Disney version where she simply falls off a cliff. Or what about Little Red Riding Hood? The original tale had Little Red being eaten by the wolf, and a woodsman saving her only after she's already met her grim fate. And the Little Mermaid. Instead of a happy ending, the original story ends with her sacrificing herself and turning into sea foam after her prince marries someone else. These stories are often cautionary tales, teaching lessons about greed, vanity, and the consequences of choices. But the sanitized versions? They focus more on romance and less on the hard truths. It's fascinating, and a little disturbing, how these transformations have changed our understanding of these tales. Climax/key moment. Now, let's highlight one of the most shocking transformations of a fairy tale, Beauty and the Beast. In the original story by Gabrielle Suzanne Barbet de Villeneuve, Beauty doesn't fall in love with the Beast because he's misunderstood, she's more of a pawn in a larger game of fate. The Beast is cursed for his selfishness, and Beauty's love is almost forced. The modern interpretation focuses on redemption and love conquering all, but the original portrays a more complex relationship filled with manipulation and sacrifice. This contrast between the two versions really makes you question what you think you know about these stories and the lessons they impart. It's a wake-up call about how fairy tales can influence our perceptions of love and relationships in the real world. Conclusion/summary. So, there you have it. We've peeled back the layers of some of our favorite fairy tales and revealed the hidden darkness behind those charming stories. These transformations not only change the stories themselves but also affect how we understand storytelling and the morals we take away from them. It's a reminder that not everything is as it seems, and sometimes the real stories are the ones that challenge us the most. Call to action, CTA. Now, I want to hear from you. What's your favorite fairy tale transformation? Did you learn something new today? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you have other stories you'd like us to explore in the future, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories we think we know.
Title: The Disturbing Truth of Fairy Tale. Transformations. Once upon a time, in a forgotten corner of the enchanted forest, there lived a young maiden named Alara. She was known for her gentle heart and boundless curiosity, traits that often led her to wander deep into the woods where few dared to tread. One fateful afternoon, while gathering herbs near a tranquil stream, Alara stumbled upon an ancient tome hidden beneath the gnarled roots of an old oak tree. Intrigued, she brushed off the dust and opened it, revealing pages filled with spells and incantations. As Alara's fingers traced the ancient symbols on the page, she felt a strange energy emanating from the tome. The air around her seemed to hum with power, and the world grew still, as if holding its breath. The words on the page, though written in a language unfamiliar to her, seemed to whisper directly into her mind, beckoning her to read on. The spellbook was like nothing Alara had ever seen before. The parchment was worn and yellowed with age, yet the ink remained as dark as the night sky. The cover was made of leather, cracked and weathered, with strange, swirling patterns that seemed to shift as she looked at them. It was clear that this was no ordinary book. It held a magic that had not been touched for centuries. As she turned the pages, she found descriptions of fantastical creatures, powerful curses, and enchantments that could bend the very fabric of reality. But what captivated her most was a particular spell nestled between pages, adorned with delicate illustrations of animals, wolves, owls, foxes, and other creatures of the forest. The spell was called the Dance of the Shifting Shapes. According to the tone, the spell would allow its caster to take the form of any creature they desired. The possibilities seemed endless. She could soar through the skies as an eagle, or glide through the forest as a deer. The allure of such freedom was intoxicating, and Alara's curiosity quickly overpowered her caution. However, the more she read, the more she noticed that certain passages were written in a smaller, finer script. It was almost as if the original author had tried to hide these words from the casual reader. Alara's heart quickened as she deciphered the text, and she discovered a warning buried within the spell's description. The dance of the shifting shapes is not without peril, the script warned. Each transformation comes with a cost. Every shift will take a part of your true self. The more you change, the more you risk losing the essence of who you are. Beware, for those who indulge too deeply in this magic may never find their way back. Alara hesitated, the warning echoing in her mind. But the thought of experiencing the world from a different perspective was too tempting to resist. She reasoned that she could use the spell just once, a small indulgence to satisfy her curiosity. Surely, if she was careful, she could avoid the dangers described in the book. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, Alara began to prepare. She gathered the necessary ingredients listed in the tome: moonlit water from the stream, a feather from a raven, a single strand of her own hair, and a silver coin she carried with her as a good luck charm. She arranged them carefully on the ground, following the intricate instructions laid out in the book. When everything was in place, Alara stood at the center of the clearing. The ancient tome opened before her. The sun had dipped below the horizon, and the forest was bathed in the soft, silvery light of the rising moon. She took a deep breath, steadying her nerves, and began to chant the words of the incantation. As she spoke, she felt the air around her begin to vibrate, and a soft glow emanated from the objects she had gathered. The light grew brighter, surrounding her in a shimmering aura. Alara's heart pounded in her chest as she felt the magic take hold, wrapping around her like a warm blanket. The transformation was both exhilarating and terrifying. Her body began to change, her limbs shrinking and reshaping, her senses sharpening. Colors became more vivid, sounds more distinct. She could feel the earth beneath her paws, and the scent of the forest filled her nose. She had become a fox, sleek and swift, her fur as white as the snow. For a moment, Alara reveled in her new form. She darted through the trees, leaping over roots and dodging through underbrush with ease. The world felt so different from this vantage point, every sensation amplified. The thrill of the hunt, the rustle of leaves, the cool breeze against her fur, it was intoxicating. But as the night wore on, the initial excitement began to wane. Alara found herself longing for the familiarity of her human body, the warmth of her hands, the sound of her voice. She returned to the clearing where she had cast the spell, the ancient tome still lying open on the ground. She concentrated, willing herself to return to her original form. Nothing happened. Panic set in. Alara tried again, focusing with all her might, but still, she remained a fox. The words of the warning echoed in her mind. Each transformation comes with a cost. You risk losing the essence of who you are. Had she already lost too much? Was she trapped in this form forever? Desperate, Alara turned back to the tome, pawing at the pages in a frantic attempt to find a way to reverse the spell. But the text, once clear, now seemed to blur before her eyes. She could barely make sense of the symbols, her human understanding slipping away with each passing moment. Just as she was about to give in to despair, a shadow fell across the page. Alara looked up to see the figure of Malachi, the dark sorcerer who had been watching her from the shadows of the forest. His eyes gleamed with a sinister light as he stepped closer, his presence filling the clearing with an oppressive weight. "So, little fox," he said, his voice low and mocking, "you've discovered the true nature of the magic you so foolishly sought. But do not despair. I can offer you a way out, for a price." Alara felt a chill run through her, the weight of his words pressing down on her heart. She knew that any deal made with a sorcerer was bound to come with its own set of dangers, but she was desperate. She had to regain her human form, no matter the cost. Malachi's smile widened as he saw the desperation in her eyes. "I can restore you, little one," he continued, "but in exchange, you must serve me. You will carry out my bidding, and in time, perhaps you will find yourself once more. But know this, your humanity will always be at risk. The more you rely on the magic, the more you will lose of yourself." Alara's mind raced. She had no desire to become the pawn of a dark sorcerer, but what other choice did she have? Her memories were already fading, her sense of self slipping away with each passing moment. If she did nothing, she would be lost forever, a mere beast in the forest. With a heavy heart, Alara nodded her agreement. Malachi's grin widened, and he began to chant in a language that sent shivers down her spine. The air around them crackled with energy as the sorcerer's magic took hold, wrapping around Alara like a dark, suffocating cloud. 3. As the spell reached its climax, Alara felt herself begin to change once more. Her body elongated, her fur receded, and the familiar sensations of her human form began to return. But something was wrong. Her movements felt sluggish, her mind clouded with a lingering darkness. She was human again, but she could feel the shadow of the fox lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for the chance to take control. Malachi watched her with satisfaction as she struggled to regain her bearings. "Remember, little one," he said, his voice dripping with malice. "You are mine now. Do not think you can escape your fate. The magic will always be a part of you, and the more you resist, the stronger it will become." With that, the sorcerer turned and vanished into the shadows, leaving Alara alone in the clearing. She could feel his presence lingering in the air, a constant reminder of the deal she had made. She had regained her human form, but at what cost? Her soul felt tainted, her thoughts clouded with the remnants of the spell. As the days passed, Alara found herself drawn to the forest again and again, compelled by a force she could not resist. She would catch herself staring at her reflection in the stream, searching for the fox's eyes in her own. The magic had taken root deep within her, and no matter how hard she tried to resist, she could feel it growing stronger with each passing day. Alara knew that she could not live like this forever, bound to the whims of a dark sorcerer and the magic that had corrupted her soul. She began to search for a way to break the spell, to free herself from the shadow that lingered over her. But the more she searched, the more she realized how deeply the magic had intertwined with her being. The forest, once a place of solace and wonder, had become a prison. Every step she took felt heavy, as if the very earth was pulling her back to the clearing where her journey had begun. The villagers, who once greeted her with warmth, now seemed distant, their gazes filled with suspicion and fear. Alara's once bright and curious spirit had dimmed, replaced by a constant sense of unease. She could no longer remember the girl she had been before, her memories of her human life fading like the last light of day. The fox's instincts clawed at her mind, urging her to embrace the wild, to let go of her humanity once and for all. But even in her darkest moments, a small spark of hope remained. Alara refused to surrender to the magic that sought to consume her. She continued to search for a way to break the spell, to reclaim the life she had lost. She knew it would be a difficult journey, fraught with danger and uncertainty, but she was determined to see it through. Among the spells, one caught her eye, a transformation spell promising to grant its caster the ability to shapeshift into any creature they desired. Alara, ever adventurous and longing for a taste of magic, couldn't resist the temptation. With trembling hands, she recited the incantation, feeling a surge of energy coursing through her veins. In a blinding flash of light, her form began to change. When the light subsided, Alara found herself transformed into a sleek white fox, her senses heightened and her body agile. Delighted yet cautious, she explored the forest in her newfound guise, reveling in the freedom of movement and the thrill of being something other than human. But as dusk fell and the forest grew darker, Alara sensed a shift in the air, a presence watching her from the shadows. From the depths of the forest emerged a figure cloaked in darkness, a sorcerer known only as Malachi. His eyes gleamed with a mix of fascination and malevolence as he approached Alara in her fox form. Ah, so the spell worked, he mused, his voice a chilling whisper in the night. But tell me, dear Alara, did you not read the fine print? For, confused and wary, Alara shook her fox-like head, unable to speak in her current form. With a sly grin, Malachi explained the truth behind the transformation spell. It came with a price. Every transformation into an animal left a mark on Alara's humanity, slowly eroding her memories and emotions with each shift. The more she indulged in her new form, the more she risked losing herself forever. Horror gripped Alara's heart as she realized the depth of her mistake. She had traded her human essence for the fleeting thrill of transformation, ensnared by the allure of magic without considering the consequences. Desperate to reclaim her true form, she pleaded with Malachi to reverse the spell, but the sorcerer merely chuckled, revealing that only she could undo the magic that bound her. Days turned into weeks as Alara struggled to resist the urge to transform, fighting against the wild instincts that threatened to consume her. Her once bright eyes grew distant, haunted by the fear of forgetting who she truly was. In her darkest moments, she sought solace in the company of a wise old owl who had witnessed many a tragedy born from reckless magic. Through the owl's guidance, Alara discovered that the key to breaking the spell lay not in resisting transformation, but in embracing her human spirit despite the enchantment. With newfound determination, she delved deep into her memories, clinging to fragments of her past like lifelines. Slowly, she pieced together the person she once was, a brave and compassionate maiden with dreams as boundless as the stars. On a moonlit night, under the watchful gaze of the owl, Alara stood at the edge of the enchanted stream where her journey had begun. With tears in her eyes and resolve in her heart, she recited the incantation once more, not to transform, but to release herself from the shackles of illusion. As the magic faded, she felt her human form return, stronger and more resilient than before. In the aftermath, Alara emerged from the enchanted forest with a newfound wisdom etched into her soul. Though the scars of her transformation lingered, she vowed to use her experience to warn others of the dangers that lurked within the allure of magic. For true enchantment, she realized, lay not in changing one's form, but in embracing the courage to remain true to oneself in the face of temptation. And so, the tale of Alara spread throughout the enchanted forest, a cautionary reminder of the disturbing truth behind fairy tale transformations, a truth that echoed across the ages, urging all who heard it to cherish their humanity above all else.
The Stories book is a captivating collection of tales that traverse diverse genres and emotions, spanning the realms of fantasy, science fiction, romance, and mystery. Each narrative is a journey into the unexpected, weaving intricate plots and compelling characters. With a skillful blend of vivid imagery and thought-provoking themes, this anthology invites readers to explore the depths of imagination and discover the universal threads that connect us all. From heartwarming moments to spine. We hope you enjoyed these captivating video stories. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming content like this. Thanks for watching and keep spreading the video story.